My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey folks, welcome back. Today our special guest zooming in from New York City. We've got Jonathan Twombly, and Jonathan is a very experienced real estate investor, and he's actually gone from multifamily investing. He got out of that quite a while ago, and these days he's more focused on hotels and hotel redevelopment. So Jonathan, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Great to be here. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
So, Jonathan, we're in the middle of 2025 right now. Can you give us a little big picture snapshot of what you are currently doing in real estate? What does the portfolio look like, or what do projects look like? What are you up to?
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, I made the switch from multifamily to hotels a couple of years ago. Still love multifamily, but I've just seen a lot of opportunity in hotels. And specifically, what I look for is really, really well located mom and pop assets that are kind of tired,
Okay.
right? So kind of think about like what used to be the best hotel in town, and it was probably the first hotel in town, so it has the best location.
Yeah.
And it's now, it hasn't had any TLC put into it for a generation. Stuff like that. I love, because you can't.
But not big name, big brand hotels. These are independently owned, typically.
Independently owned boutique hotels. I mean, we may put a brand on it, we may not. It really depends on the asset itself. But what I like about these assets is that you can't replicate the location, and we know that if we get them back into shape, that we can really outperform where they were. So there's a big ability to do value add on these, but it's a very heavy lift. This is not like lipstick on a pig. This is like major renovation. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, I'm getting the picture of that. What are the typical room counts or sizes of these properties in your buy box?
Yeah. So it needs to be over 40 keys for us to make sense, because we need to have an on-site manager. So it's got to be large enough to do that. We're probably in the 40 to 100 key range for these things.
Got it. 40 to 100. Okay. And as far as markets go, are you looking for secondary markets, tertiary markets, primary markets? Like where are these hotels?
Yeah, these are so far what we've done is like drive time tourist destinations. So
what would be an example of that?
Yeah, so we have two in the portfolio right now. One is in upstate New York in a region called the Finger Lakes, which is like the wine country of the East Coast, and the other one is in southern Vermont.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the drive distance from a primary market. So what would be who's like the main customer staying at the hotel?
Yeah. So the Finger Lakes are kind of drawing from all over, but they basically draw from New York City, Philadelphia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, as far as like Pittsburgh, and then the smaller markets in New York, like Rochester, Buffalo, and actually even Toronto before the tariffs, before the Canadians started boycotting
before
the US.
the current unpleasantness.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the hotel in Vermont is basically within a 3 or 4 hour drive of about 50 million people.
Wow.
If you consider kind of the 45 million sort of on the eastern seaboard within driving distance of the U.S. and another 4 million in Montreal. So we're kind of smack in the middle of all that.
Very nice. Okay, that's making a lot of sense. Okay, so Jonathan, maybe I think it'd be fun for me and probably for the listeners as well. Maybe tell us the story of your favorite hotel deal. I don't know if it's one that you've already sold or one of the two that you've got on the go. Tell me the story of how did you find it? What was kind of the story behind it? When did you guys get involved? What did you do to bring it up to snuff? What does it look like now? So maybe kind of walk us through that whole
Sure.
process.
Well, saying what's your favorite is like saying who's your favorite child, so
Well, we
it's like it's but
people have one.
I love them all. But I mean, I'll just tell you kind of like they're very similar stories um in terms of what they look like. But I'll tell you sort of how I found the first one. This is what got me into the hotel
The
business.
one
I
in New
hadn't
York
really.
is
Yeah, the one in New York was the
got
first
it.
one, and I hadn't intended to go into the hotel business. It's not like this is was a conscious
But it wasn't a big
like
strategic move kind of thing. It just
no, it wasn't. I didn't sort of see the opportunity until after I got involved in this first one. So what happened was, uh, like a lot of other people in New York during COVID, we bought a house in upstate New York as a place to bug out to,
Mhm.
and we would. We'd been vacationing up there for years up in the Finger Lakes. But once we bought this house, like the route to the house would take us past this particular hotel. And every time we passed this hotel, my wife and I would have the same conversation, which was, man, look at the location of this hotel. It's such a shame that this old rundown beat up place is here. Like somebody really ought to do something about this. And
Mhm.
um, I started looking around because I just wanted to spend more time up there. And I started looking for like multifamily assets that maybe I could buy up near the house and just have an excuse to be there. And as I
Mhm.
was poking around looking for deals, I saw that this hotel was for sale, and it
Mhm.
had been for sale like for a year, and they just kept on cutting the price and cutting the price and cutting the price. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm the person who should do something about this. And uh, I started looking into it. I went to tour the hotel and thought, this is really interesting. I see potential here, but I don't know anything about hotels. So I got to find somebody who does. So sort of through my network, I found someone who's a hotel expert and showed
Okay.
him the deal. And he was like, this looks really interesting. And by the way, I've already done sort of 5 just like this. Right. So, so I was like, okay,
Coincidentally enough, that's
you're
kind of nice.
you're you're the guy I want to hire for as my property manager. So we basically I just found one investor to do it. I did it very low risk. I didn't want to put debt on it. I didn't want to I wanted to sort of keep it as conservative as possible. So I just went to one of my previous investors who I'd done really well for and just said, hey, I have this opportunity, you're interested? He said yes. So we did the whole thing for cash. And
Nice. So if you don't, do you mind sharing like how much you bought it for?
so we bought it for just under 2 million, and we put another 1.5 into
Okay,
it.
so you bought 3.5 mil all
Yeah,
in on this. And how
yeah.
many keys in this hotel?
So it's 37 plus a restaurant and bar.
Okay, okay.
And so we did just a full gut renovation, and just sort of by way of sort of illustrating the opportunity for hotels like this. A lot of these older assets that you find, they've been in the family for a long time, and they've kind of got their way of doing things, and these are kind of like lifestyle businesses, right?
Mm.
They're not trying to make every penny that they can. On the other hand, they also tend to kind of fix a lot of things on the cheap, right, and do the things themselves.
Right.
So you kind of go into an asset that has. So on the one hand, it's sort of slowly run down.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that need to be fixed, which means that you can buy them cheap if you're willing to roll up your sleeves. But the other thing is that tend to be they tend to have some low hanging fruit on them. Like for example, a lot of the old style hoteliers are really afraid of overbooking the hotel, which sounds
Mm.
kind of strange, right? You'd think that they'd want to book the hotel full, but they're afraid of overbooking because it sort of creates problems. And there was this old time thing where they wanted to always have a room available. So if somebody drove
Just
by.
in case the president came by.
Well, I mean, just it was like this idea, like you wanted the market to know there was always a room there, right? So
Okay.
they would never book the hotel full. They would always leave a room or two vacant, and and they didn't do any kind of online booking, right? So
Wow.
you they were often like, it's very strange. Like they'd be listed on Expedia, but you couldn't make a reservation on Expedia. You had to go back and forth by email or by phone. right? Because they just felt more in control that way, right? Yeah. And so what we found was just by allowing people to book online before even spending a penny on the hotel, we could increase the bookings by like 15 to 20% just literally like
turning the lights on online, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's that kind of low hanging fruit, but then, once you put the money into these hotels, if they're well located, you can really transform.
So what kind of renovations did you do on this one?
Oh, I mean, we went down to the studs. That place has got new wiring, new plumbing, new walls.
How old was it?
New floors. Built in stages between the 50s and the 60s.
Okay.
So it's like a classic old sort of motel with a separate restaurant building. The thing that we really liked about it was just the views are amazing.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. If you only focus on hotels, which I think is the definition is like vertical, or if you do motels as well. So it sounds like it's more of a motel type property.
Both. This one is a motel. The other one we have is a hotel.
Got it.
Interior corridor, hotel. Even though they both called them motor inns, which is funny. Like both of them are called, the original name was whatever motor inn, but one is really more of a hotel.
Okay.
But yeah, we went down to the studs. I mean, basically that thing is on the inside. It's, there's the only thing that's left there is the brick and the studs.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. And how long did it take you to do those renovations? That must have taken a little while.
It's a long process. I mean, it takes about a year to get.
Did you do it in phases and keep parts of the hotel open in the meantime, or just kind of shut it all down?
Yeah, we sort of did, but these hotels are seasonal, so you do kind of wind up shutting them down anyway. But the thing that's very different about this than, say, multifamily, multifamily, you have tenants, and you can't kick them out. You got to wait until their lease expires, and then you can do the renovation. So you're doing like a rolling renovation. With a hotel, I mean, you can just shut down and do your renovation if you want to, and just get it all done. And the crews come, like the crews that we use, they come and live at the hotel, and they basically do nothing but work on the hotel for 6 days a week until they're finished. So it's nice because we're not competing with other jobs that the contractor has. Like this is the job that
they're doing. Are they specialized crews that focus on hotel renovations?
Yeah, I mean, they've been working, with my now partner for a long time, so they have kind of like their routine down. So we have
that's kind of their niche.
Yeah, that's their niche, and we have we have like a design team. We have the crews that kind of know the work, and so it's a very smooth process. I mean, there are other glitches that happen, like boats crashing into bridges and causing them to collapse,
right,
stuff like that comes up. But so you can't get your tile from China, but other than that,
Boston was shut down for quite a while there. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just stuff like that comes up. But once you got your materials on site, it's pretty smooth.
Okay, so the before was a pretty rundown 37 unit key property with a bar and a restaurant. Did you do the same thing with the bar and restaurant and kind of rebrand all of that? And are you guys operating that, or do you lease it out? How does that side of the business work?
We are currently operating the restaurant ourselves and the bar.
Okay.
So yeah.
So this is really a very different kettle of fish for you, coming from multifamily into the hotel business. You've got a good perspective on both. What do you say are the pros and the cons of hotels versus multifamily?
So with hotels, first of all, the opportunity, I think, right? The market for this stuff is not saturated like multifamily is. You're just not competing with the same number of people because there's the perception, which I think is wrong, that multifamily is easy. There is the perception, which is also wrong, that hotels are hard. So, I mean, they're both hard in their own ways, right? But but I think that means that there's a, if you're willing to roll up your sleeves, there's a lot of opportunity in the hotel space, and more so than I feel like in the multifamily space at the moment, just because of the competition. But in terms of the operations, I mean, one thing that's interesting about hotels is that a couple things, like you have a lot more flexibility with your room rates, right? And you can change them on the fly depending on what the market's like. You can, when bookings are really strong, like we're raising those room rates. When bookings
by
are
the hour.
yeah, literally. I mean, we will literally change them. The last few rooms may, the first 10 rooms may have been booked at 200 a night, and then the next 10 are 300, and then the last 10 are, at 500 a night. It can happen that way. So, and then, when you've got, when it's slow, we run a sale, we run a promotion, and it usually brings people in. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and there's a lot of sort of like fun marketing stuff you can do with hotels that you can't really do with multifamily. Like we just did a big, for 4th of July, we have a view over the lake where the fireworks are launched out. So we had like a big, we sold tickets, had a big, barbecue. We have a bar, obviously, so could sell drinks. So stuff like that. We're having a pig roast in August.
Nice. It sounds like, well, that's a perfect thing, because your summer home or your getaway home's not far from there, so you get you get to have some fun with that. Very cool, Jonathan. So, what was the other question I had for you about that? So all in, you're about 3.5 mil to buy this and renovate it and all that kind of stuff. You had one investor on board who put in all the cash. What are you going to do? Refinance this and get them paid out, or what's the plan, the turnaround
Yeah,
plan?
we're still sort of stabilizing the asset to get it financed. We're about 3 years in now, so all the renovations are done. Operations are in pretty good shape. So we're kind of really in the optimization phase of this right now. So we would like to get some debt and return some capital.
Yeah. So conservatively, what do you anticipate the after repaired value to be on the property?
Well, I mean, we got a BOV on the property for 6 million.
Wow.
Which, I mean, honestly, I think that's a little high. I think the brokers were, trying to make nice with us. So I'm not sure it's worth 6 million really today, but I was happy to see that they thought it was worth 6 million, right? So yeah.
Oh, that is exciting stuff. So where do you guys see yourselves taking the business over the next couple of years, or where do you see what direction are you going in the future now, Jonathan?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would like to do more of these if I can find more. I think like multifamily, it's tough to find deals right now. There's not a lot on the market. A lot that's coming to market is a bit overpriced. And
even these old crappy ones.
I mean, so it's funny. It depends on the experience of the seller, because both of the ones that we bought so far were properties that were on the market for some time, fell out of contract. The sellers got realistic, right?
Expired listings, so to speak.
Yeah, and so. But the stuff that I see coming to market, new or even off market, I mean, we were in serious discussions with a hotel I really was interested in not that long ago, but I mean, just in the last week. But the sellers were, in my mind, not realistic about the price, given the sort of the condition of the asset and where interest rates are and stuff like that. So, they'll go to market. They'll see what, maybe they'll get that buyer, but it didn't work for us at that price, given how much money we need to put into the asset. I kind of felt like they were asking the post renovation value of the asset, and we're still going to have to renovate it. So, but they need to go to market to find out the reality, and God bless them if they find somebody.
Well, I think if I were in your position, I might consider going direct to seller, and because
we were direct to seller on. I mean,
these should be pretty simple to find. Like, you got a pretty defined buy box, old, ideally family owned hotel, motel, this size, good location, crappy condition. I think you could find a bunch of those and then just start the communication directly with the sellers, and of
Yeah,
course, not all of them are going to go for it.
the little tricky thing is finding ones that are the right size. Like
Mm.
we see a lot of them that are too small
Mm.
for us. So
Too
it's
small to have
finding the
on-site management.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of an issue. Although, given that we have the renovation expertise, I have thought about the possibility of doing conversions to micro apartments
Mm.
for some of those and just flipping them. But we haven't really found the right opportunity for that yet either.
It's
So
interesting. I interviewed a guy a while ago now, 6, 8 months maybe, and he was focusing on boutique hotels,
mm,
kind of like you guys are, but smaller.
yeah.
And what was his niche? He was focusing on like historical buildings, like for example, Quebec City type thing,
Mm,
big old beautiful, beautiful property type things. But their whole thing was to make it completely employee free. So
uh,
they'd have quite small hotels, up to 20 keys, but it was self check-in, and it
mm,
basically, they had the cleaning staff that would show up or whatever, but
right,
they
right.
had it all automated. So there was zero need for a front desk at this. And that was working quite well for him as well. So you never know. That might be something.
Yeah. There are all kinds of different models for this, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that is interesting. You can also go smaller if you go really high end, right?
Yeah. I think
So if
that's what he was
you're,
doing, was quite high
yeah,
end. Yeah.
if you're doing like, $750,000 a night, kind of like super luxury, then yeah, obviously you don't need as many rooms to do that.
Mhm.
So I,
But you
I,
might need
I, I
a higher quality of service so that people do expect a concierge type situation.
yeah, exactly. They want to have somebody at the front desk to
Yeah.
ask questions of and stuff like that. But but you got to be that to my mind, there's a lot of risk there because you're going to do a really high end renovation and it's got to be
Right.
done really, really well. That's that costs a lot of money. But maybe someday. I mean, it's definitely a kind of like an aspiration, but I'm
Yeah,
not there
I
yet.
don't know if he was super high end. I just know
Yeah.
the efficiency there was small hotel, zero front desk, all automated. That
Mm.
was kind of my fuzzy memory of the
Sort of
conversations.
like almost like an Airbnb model for the
Yeah,
hotel. Yeah.
yeah, but with a hotel. But no, I love what you're
Yeah.
doing. That's really, really smart. And you're able to combine it with the lifestyle, and somebody ought to be doing something about that hotel, and you did it, and now
Yeah.
you're continuing to do it. That is wonderful. So hey, Jonathan, if people are interested in connecting with you and finding out more about this whole hotel conversion thing, where should they go?
I'm very active on LinkedIn, so that's probably the best way to connect with me these days. Always happy to engage and have a conversation, and I post a lot. So swing by my profile and connect with me.
All right, and that's Jonathan Twombly, Twombly. We'll have that in the show notes as well. But if you're just listening or just watching, that's where you can go. Hey, Jonathan, thanks very much for being on the show. This has been fun.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next one. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.